Hey everybody. For I guess some prayer requests first. Deanna Pierce is still in the hospital, and I know that the recovery is going a bit slow, and she's feeling a bit lonely, especially with the COVID stuff. They don't allow anyone into the hospital or for visitations of any kind. Excuse me. And so if you can keep her in your prayers, as well as I know that James is going in for surgery, and Wilson Kindred's son-in-law was had a head injury, and so if you can keep these people in your prayers, and or even contact them, let them know that you care, that you love them, do the best you can. Deanna, she's in Kirkland Lake Hospital, room 408-1, one being she's the first bed. But if you look her up there, they'll try and get you to have a conversation with her. She's having difficulty even picking up the phone, but if there's a nurse, I know that she'll pick up and bring you the phone to her. So continue to encourage these people. They would love to hear from you. Keep them in your prayers. Otherwise, we have a board meeting July 14th. And we've already begun all the preparations in order to open up the sanctuary again. As the board meets, we will make sure that all the bases are covered and all the final things that need to be in place are in place. When we do reopen the church, we won't stop anything else. So we will continue to do drive-in church, and we will continue to do online Facebook and on YouTube, as well as our website, which is now live, guys. So if you want to see our new website, it's livingfaithassembly.ca, and it's our new webpage. It's been a little bit revamped, redone, but on there you'll be able to see the YouTube links to the sermons I record, as well as some devotionals. But there you go. That's pretty much it. So I was walking with my son to the park, and his older brother mentioned, that Jonah, so it's Jonah and Micah. Micah's my oldest, and Jonah was like, asked me a question, said, "Hey Dad, do I have to do what I said I would do if I didn't use the words I promise?" Right? Because Mike had asked him to play a game with him, and Jonah really didn't want to. And Jonah was just like, "Well, I didn't promise anything." Right? And so this was an excellent opportunity to talk about integrity. And it inspired me as we were talking about character over the last couple of months, I guess now, as we talked about character, that this is like the backbone to character, that integrity is a large part of what character is, because it maintains who you are. Keeps it unchanging, which is very biblical from someone else I know. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, right? He does not change. And so integrity is very important. So I got to have the conversation with Jonah and say, when you say that you're going to do something, you got to be a man of your word or a woman of your word. You have to stick true to what you say. Imagine how you would feel in this instance if I told you, "Hey Jonah, let's go get some ice cream," and he got all excited. You would get all excited, "Yay, ice cream!" Right? And then we don't get any. Be like, "But you said we would." "Oh, but I didn't use the words I promise." Right? You just imagine how you would feel in that moment, right? And so Jonah understood. He's like, if I say I'm going to do something, I need to do it. And so that is found both in Matthew chapter 5, starting in verse 33, and James chapter 5, verse 12. They kind of summarize it there anyway. It says this in Matthew 5:33. "You have also heard that our ancestors were told, 'You must not break your vows. You must carry out the vows that you made to the Lord.' But I say, do not make any vows. Do not say by heaven, because heaven is God's throne. Do not say by the earth, because the earth is his footstool. And do not say by Jerusalem, for Jerusalem is the city of the great king. Do not even say by my head, for you can't turn one hair white or black. Just say a simple, 'Yes, I will,' or 'No, I won't.' Anything beyond that is from the evil one." James 5:12 summarizes it and says, "But above all, my brothers, do not swear by either by heaven or by earth or by any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no be no, so that you may not fall under condemnation." Right? And so I got to teach Jonah in this incredible opportunity that integrity is absolutely and very much important. So let's define integrity. And so other words used for integrity, and I'll go through them a little bit, but it says perfect, uprightly, blameless or blameless life, clear conscience, purity, honesty, and uncorruptness. I like that one. The basic meaning of integrity in the Old Testament is soundness of character to moral principle. It means that you strive to do what is good, like all the time. Like you fight for that. It defines who you are. A common expression is to walk in integrity, indicating an habitual manner of life. In Proverbs, integrity is seen as an essential characteristic of the upright life. Yahweh will protect those who walk in it. Their security is assured. It is a trustworthy guide for living, and I'm really going to dig into that one, okay? Because it is a guide for living and an incredible teaching tool for those around us as well. And it is better than wealth, as it talks about in Proverbs. Titus chapter 2, verse 7 specifies that integrity is an indispensable ingredient in Christian teaching. The meaning is essentially the same in the Old Testament. And so integrity has an immense potential to teach other people about Christ, about what makes your life different, what makes you different because you're a Christian to other people. It's an excellent teaching tool, even though you may not think so, okay? Titus 2 says this, starting in verse 6. In the same way, encourage the young men to live wisely, and you yourself must be an example to them by doing good works of every kind. Let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. Wow, there you go. So you have to be an example by doing good works, right? And you have to reflect integrity. So in everyday life, as you make everyday decisions, as you do different things in your life, integrity defines who you are, and people will look to see what makes you different. And you can use that as teaching opportunities. Teach the truth so that your teaching can't be criticized. Then those who oppose us will be ashamed and have nothing bad to say about us. That's what it says. So integrity truly is like the glue that holds all other character in place. So when you have discipline, when you have the different kinds of love between, as we talked about, radical and tender and tough love, as you have discipline, as you have vision, as you have, as everything that we've talked about concerning character in the past, all of that is held together by integrity. It's what keeps it stable. It's what keeps it consistent, if you will. And people will look at that. We'll look at the differences that in the decisions that you make. My wife, she's always told me that I teach people how to treat me, and I thought about it because she's like, Luigi, you talk about moments in your life where you were picked on, where you were hurt. But at the same time, did you ever fight back? Did you ever complain? Did you ever go to an authority to make it right? By not having any response at all, you've begun to teach people that it's okay to treat you like that you're okay with it. And then it would be something very different if you responded differently because you've trained them to treat you that way, right? And it is very true. We train people how to treat us. And okay, so on that note, when I first get introduced with people and they don't know I'm a pastor, right? And maybe it's just like everyday life. Like I used to work at a golf course and you meet all kinds of people at a golf course. And so, I remember this person was telling me a dirty joke because he had heard I was a minister. But in his mind, he's like, oh, like minister of transportation, minister of health, minister of, he didn't actually think religious. And so the person next to him was like, by minister, I meant religious. And then the person just put two and two together was like, oh my, I feel so bad. And, they felt so ashamed. And so when it comes to light, eventually that I'm a pastor, I don't try and just throw it out there. I would rather people see integrity in me by my actions rather than a title, right? And so I like for them to see something different in me, something that they, maybe can't quite place. That maybe later on when they say, oh, he's a pastor or he's a Christian, or now I can understand why he views the world differently. I can understand why I've never heard him swear, or I've never heard him give into things that maybe the rest of the world gives into, why his morality might be a little bit different than mine. And so I don't like to reveal right away my position, because then the person usually feels very awkward. And I don't like that awkwardness, because all of a sudden, they've been trained, obviously, by someone else on the earth, that people who claim to be Christians or pastors or so forth and so on, that they're held to moral excellency. And so they're very judgmental, or they get offended very easily. And so what I find is that people will begin to change their actions because of my title or because of who I am, but not their hearts. And so usually I end up having a conversation with them being like, listen, you have never professed to be this moral excellence Christian person, so I do not hold you to any kind of standard that I hold myself to. So if you feel the need that you need to act in this way, please do not change who you are because of me. I want you to be comfortable in who you are and accept me as I am, just the way I accept you as you are. And there is no judgment here from me. And so that begins to allow them to feel a lot more comfortable, rather than feeling immensely guilty every time, maybe that they use a brown word. And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then, oh, I even said, oh my God, does that offend you? And then it doesn't matter what they say. They just feel so guilty, so judged. And it makes just for horrible relationship, right? So I try to explain that, listen, I just accept you as you are. I have no expectations of your behavior. And truthfully, in my heart, it's because I would prefer a change of heart over a change of actions, because I'm there. Because from a basis of a change of heart, everything comes out of that anyways. And so to allow relationship to grow, I depend upon the idea that I want a heart to be changed. And so I'm not there to judge you or change the way that you act, right? They don't want to be offensive. And so they're willing to just change the way they act, but in their hearts, nothing has changed. And then that gives me the opportunity to show integrity, to show that in my life, I have given myself rules that I don't place on other people, but I've given myself rules to moral excellence, to seeking what is righteous, to be upright, to be blameless, as we talked about in the definition, right? Have a blameless life where nobody can point the finger and be like, what he did was wrong, because in my heart, I am chasing after what is right. And when people begin to see integrity in my life, begin to see that I chase after these things, they begin to question their own life and the decisions that they make on an everyday basis. Not because I'm forcing them to, because of judgment, but because they begin to see something, maybe a different way of living. They begin to see something beautiful, something pure, something lovely. And then maybe they begin to make the decision in their hearts that maybe something should change in the way that they live their lives. And that is truly what I'm after, a change of heart, not actions. Okay, so we talked about the idea or the definition of being perfect, upright, blameless, which in the end is unattainable, right? Only my God is perfect. No one else that I know can even remotely come close, right? Only my Father in heaven. And so completely upright, completely just, all of that just describes my God. But it's not about achieving that perfection, though through Christ it is attainable eventually. It's not about achieving it, but it's about trying. It's about trying to be a righteous person, living by making right choices according to God's will, trying to do, what is noble, what is admirable, what is holy, what is true, what is, I'm quoting Philippians 4:8 now. But it is those things that you chase after in your heart, that people will recognize. And like I said, it's not, you're never perfect. And it's hard when people place you on a pedestal, and my family has done that very much. And I'm sure other people have had similar experiences where you're put on some kind of pedestal. It's like, no, I'm just a normal person like anyone else. I strive to be the best person I can be, but I will fail and fail again and make mistakes and need to apologize over and over and over again because I am human. But there is something beautiful in the trying. Proverbs 2:7. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity. Deuteronomy 18:13. You must be blameless before the Lord your God. Think of David's answer to his friend who wanted to kill Saul. Can anyone lift a hand against the Lord's anointed and be blameless? Right? And so, like I said, we're never, ever going to achieve that perfection. But in trying, in chasing after it, there's a beauty that begins to take shape. And don't be afraid of failure, right? So in integrity, right? Let's say you've told someone that you are going to do something and you're doing your best and things just fall apart. And I know, I'm going to install a fence for you. And then there's like lightning, thunderstorms, and tornadoes, and everything seems to be totally against you, and you may fail in that moment. But in getting back up and in teaching and saying, no, we said that we would, and so despite the things that are going on, we are going to continue to try until we've accomplished what we said we would do. And it's okay that we fail, because we will get back up and push and try again. And even in your failure, they will begin to see, hey, they have failed, and instead of allow the failure to define them and defeat them, they have pushed beyond it to conquer it. Why don't I try to do that in my own life? Instead of defining my life by all the failures that I've had and judge myself in such a harsh and horrible way, why don't I begin to conquer those things and choose who I want to become from now on? And so they get to reanalyze their failures, because you have begun to conquer yours. So don't be afraid of failure. Now, with the whole upright thing, there are many, many, many verses that talks about how God favors the upright or protects the upright or gives wisdom to the upright. So for homework, I haven't done homework in a bit. So for homework, why don't you post in Facebook or on YouTube in the comments, or send me a message if you'd like, about your favorite verse that includes the word upright, that talks about uprightness. So that means you're probably going to have to search for something. Maybe you don't have a favorite one because you didn't know it existed to such a degree. So look them up, read them, and see which one speaks to you, and send me a message and tell me why it speaks to you. Okay? So try that out for homework. Okay? So back on the idea of failure, right? Even though you may fail, it's in trying again and pushing beyond that you begin to teach people that integrity matters, that it is worth it simply because you said it. And it also, like I said, teaches people how to treat you and how they view you, because then all of a sudden when they look at you, they'll be like, wow, there's a person that I can completely trust. That no matter what, if they tell me they're going to help me or do something with me, they will be a person of their word. And they will go through with it no matter what. Even if they fail numerous times, they will continue to pour all of who they are into what they said they would do. And for these people who may have never seen that shown anywhere else in their lives, when they struggle with something, they may come to you and ask for that help, because they know that you will fight for them to the bitter end, no matter what the cost, because you said you would. You are a person of integrity. And that leads to honesty, that leads to trust, that leads to so many things that represent who God is, that, like I said, it is an incredible moment to teach people. It's great because you don't even have to teach using words. You don't have to explain or preach to them, right? You can just lead a life of integrity, and they themselves will begin to analyze the decisions that you make with the decisions that they make every single day, and be like, I want to be a little bit more like that. I want to fight for what's right and what is noble and what is beautiful, and because they're chasing after it, and some of the time they're achieving it, I think I can too. And they will begin to have a change of heart. rather than just a change of action so as not to be offensive, a heart change will begin to take place. So integrity is incredibly important. So use integrity for teaching. If there was one point, there's 2 points that I'm going to have for you today, okay? The first is just that integrity teaches, okay? Your integrity will teach people. So there it is. Point 1, integrity teaches. Okay, point 2, integrity will be tested. Those are the only 2 things, really, if you can remember about today's sermon, that I want you to drill in your head. Okay? Integrity will be tested, and integrity teaches. Okay? So, with integrity being tested, don't look at me like I'm crazy, because when Jesus began his ministry, how did he begin his ministry? He wandered the desert for 40 days, right? To be tested by the devil. To have his integrity tested. Who he is, the very nature of who he is, tested by the devil, which is crazy. It's God. I mean, come on. You're not going to... Anyway. When you're in positions, so whether you're going to a party or an after-work party or maybe even at work, right? When you're in a group of people who don't believe what you believe, right? That don't have the same amount of integrity as you have, or moral excellence, or however you want to call it. When you put yourself in positions that you're with a group of people who view life very differently, believe it or not, but there's a lot of eyes looking at you, right? People waiting to see what they'll do that will offend you, right? People who will wait for you to fail. Because in a moment that you fail, or in a moment of compromise, where you say, you know, everyone else is doing it to yourself. Not because everyone is saying, hey, try this, hey, do that, hey, you know, why don't you come with us too? But just being in the very environment where everyone is doing something, it may feel like, well, it's not so bad. But in the moment that you compromise your integrity even a little bit, everyone's view of you will begin to shift, even if it's a little bit, and be like, oh, now I can justify my actions because even they who claim to be people of integrity do the same thing, right? So it's very important that we pay very much attention to when we're in a position of being with many other people, that we maintain our integrity, because it defines a lot of who we are. Now, don't get me wrong, the world will begin to gray things out. Where you stand firm and say, this is black, this is white, this is right, this is wrong, they'll begin to show little gray areas. And they may even debate with you over gray areas, right? To try and get you to give in just a little bit. So that way your credibility can go down just a little bit, and they themselves feel elevated, right? And so we must maintain integrity, because even in those moments we are teaching people about who we are and the value of why we are who we are. Okay? Philippians chapter 2 verse 12. Dear friends, you always followed my instructions when I was with you, and now that I am away, it is even more important. Work hard to show the results of your salvation. I'm just going to pause there for a moment. Work hard to show the results of your salvation. That means the things that made you saved, the things that make you Christian, work hard to show it. Work hard to show the results of your salvation. So you have to work hard at being who you are, who God has made you to be, because you're a light into the world. You're making a difference in everyone around you. Okay, let me go back. Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. Ooh, big difference to counter the idea of incorruptibility, right? Where people try and get you to give in just a little bit, right? Instead, he says, live with reverence and fear, with trembling before God, right? That's the way you should define it. You're being held accountable to God, not all the people around you, right? So, for God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases him. Do everything without complaining and arguing so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of God, shining like bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. Hold firmly to the word of life. And so right there it says you must shine bright, like a bright light, even though you're going to be surrounded full of crooked and perverse people. And you have to work hard to show what salvation has done in you, right? So there's the two difference, right? People are looking to cause a little bit of corruption in you so that your credibility can be down. And I don't even know if you realize this, but you're in a spiritual battle, okay? Because in those moments where you're surrounded by those people, it is a spiritual battle. Their value of life, the way they view the world, it is all, your integrity is being tested. Right? And when you hold firm, when you are the light that shines in the darkness, all of them, all the other people begin to learn, begin to see something different in you. And in all honesty, I believe those who crave God even a little bit will begin to change their hearts and see that there's a difference in the way that you live your life because of integrity, and crave a change in their own lives. Okay? Incredibly, incredibly important. Okay? Think of this, and this is my enjoyment of the story for this week, okay? It's the Great Wall of China, okay? So you have this gigantic wall that is too high to climb, too thick to knock over, and way too long to go all the way around. And yet, after it was built, the first century, the first 100 years, China was invaded 3 times. And you're like, well, Pastor, how did that happen? How did that work out? And here it is. They paid off the gate guard. They said, you're right. This is too high to climb over. This is too long to go around. This is too deep to knock over. So we have to figure something else out. Let's corrupt the gate guard. And they walked in through the front gates. 3 times in 100 years. Armies that wanted to attack walked right through the gates, right? And so your integrity will be tested. And when you give in, you allow the enemy to invade all of who you are. You must remain strong. I think of Jesus, okay? Because Jesus didn't give in who he was, right? Jesus spent a lot of time. I don't know if you guys realize this. He didn't spend all the time with the high priests and in temples, and he taught the masses of people. Sinners. He went to the homes of sinners, okay? And people grumbled about it all the time. And they're like, do you understand who you're hanging out with? But that was Jesus's mission. These are the people that needed who he was. And so he was a light in the darkness. He went to those places and he gave life. He gave people an opportunity to have hope, to change who they were. He didn't go in and become corrupted, but offered a different way of life to other people. And he spent time and time again with other sinners, okay? And so it's just interesting because sometimes I feel like Christians are just like, I must maintain my good group of friends and that's it, and have no other friends other than my Christian friends that will continue to uplift me and encourage me and love me, which is important. But the part where they have no other friends that they're reaching out to, no other people, no other field that they go and reach out to the world, then what use do they have, right? Jesus spent most of his time in the field, reaching out to people and training others how to reach out to people, okay? And so I think of Zacchaeus, okay? I truly believe that there are some people that if given an opportunity, hey, all your past mistakes, all the sin that you've accumulated in the past of your life, all of it can be wiped away. All you have to do is ask for forgiveness. That if people truly began to understand the freedom, the joy of starting life anew with the living Christ, with living God inside of you, beginning to change the way you see the world, everything, they would jump at that opportunity. And so Luke chapter 19, starting in verse 5. When Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. Zacchaeus, he said, quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today. Think of the honor, right? Jesus is in this huge crowd of people. All right, who wants to take me home? Right? And Zacchaeus was an insignificant, at least that's the way he viewed himself, very short man who climbed a tree to try and gain some attention, right? And Jesus looked to him and called him by name. I like that the Bible includes that in there. It says, and called him by name. I don't think they met before, but Jesus knew his name, and he must go to his house in that day. Zacchaeus quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his house in great excitement and joy. But the people were displeased. He has gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. Notorious. There's another word that if you want to pay attention to, right? He didn't just go to a sinner's house. He went to like the worst person's house ever. This person is just known to be corrupt and evil and just a pure sinner. You don't hang around with this guy. And yet this must be the place where Christ was going to go, right? His words, right? I must go to your home tonight. Okay? And then listen to the change in heart, not change in actions, but truly in the heart of Zacchaeus. Meanwhile, Zacchaeus stood before the Lord and said, I love that it doesn't say Christ, right? Before the Lord and said, I will give half my wealth to the poor, Lord. And if I have cheated people on their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much, which is way more than what the law required, okay? Jesus responded, salvation has come to this home today, for this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost. He didn't care what everyone thought, who he was going to go hang out with. He needed to go there to give the opportunity for Zacchaeus to begin a new life, a redeemed life. I don't know how else to put it. He gave him everything new. Zacchaeus didn't need to be defined by all his past failures, that Christ gave him a completely new life in that moment. And he had a completely changed heart. Jesus loved him. Jesus spent time with him. Jesus chose him to go to his house, right? He didn't sit and judge his actions the way everyone else did. There is a notorious sinner. He didn't look at all the faults. He looked at the potential and he drew it out. And Zacchaeus was saved deep down from all of who he was, right? Jesus maintained integrity and gave an opportunity for Zacchaeus to begin to do the same. And that is what we're called to do. So our integrity teaches, and our integrity will be tested. Okay, and you must hold strong, right? You must be strong in who you are. In all honesty, I feel like in the world today that Christianity has a bad rap for not being people of integrity, that we aren't who we say we are, right? That who we say we are is very different than the way we actually are. Our reputation has been hurt not by individual people with individual instances, right? But I feel by a compromise of character. That they have begun to compromise that integrity, and therefore Christianity has begun to have a bad rap over time because of that. Even Gandhi said that he had never met a people so unlike the one that they followed or claimed to follow, right? And that hurts, okay? That hits my heart a little bit, right? We claim to follow Christ, who spent time with sinners, who loved on people, who forgave people over and over and over again, and offered redemption and a changed life and a new life. And yet, we are so unlike the person we want to represent when we should be chasing after who God is. Character, as we've been covering it through and through, good character is completely defined by Christ. Christ-like character, and it's who we're supposed to imitate, who we are supposed to look like, who we're supposed to try and learn and to become as close as we can to strive towards that. And yet I feel like we stand down a bit, right? So we need to allow God to truly transform our minds, to let our integrity stand and stand firm. So God has asked us to show light into the world, our light that comes from Him. We are called to go for gold, not to compromise, a perfection that only He could ever bring us to. We are called to stand firm against the arrows of the devil, to be strong, to live life of integrity, allowing us to shape Him into strong children of God. As He said with Zacchaeus, right? This is a child of Abraham. That's what He's proven here today. So don't give an inch. Do not compromise who you are and who God has made you be. Let integrity become your backbone. Let it define who you are. And when you do, You will grow in wisdom. You will grow in strength. God promises his shielding around you, right? And your effectiveness, this is probably the most important part, okay? Your effectiveness in reaching out to the world around you will increase due to your integrity. Will you bow your heads and pray with me? Father God, it's easy to fail. But God, I pray that we become people of integrity, people that truly represent who you are, that we try to imitate you with all of our heart, that even though we cannot attain perfection, that we chase after it with all of our hearts, that we chase after uprightness or righteousness and chase after you, God, that the way we do it and the dedication we put towards it, God, that other people will see that in us, God. And may they begin to have something called hope in their hearts and begin to grow. May they begin to reflect on their choices, their life, and not just change their actions due to respect, but change their heart due to salvation, due to beginning a love from you, beginning to see a life worth living. Father God, I pray that you help us to be people of integrity, that when we give our word is our word, that we don't need to use words like I promise or I vow this, but that when we say we will do something, we do it, God, that we fight for people, that we care and love for people. Father God, I pray you give us great wisdom when hanging out with people of the world. You said we need to be a light in the darkness, right? And so that means we're going to be with people of the world, but not part of the world. Give us wisdom in those moments to truly love and care for and see the potential the way you see potential, God, in people, and begin to draw it out. Begin to offer a new life with other people. God, continue to protect my people that you've put in my charge, my flock, and those that they begin to influence, God. I pray you work through them into the hearts of the world around us, God. Begin to make a change in this world for you. Protect us from all that is going on. Watch over us. Help us in wisdom. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Everyone said, amen. Amen. God bless and be people of integrity, okay?